Okay, so once again, like last week, just kind of going over some stuff you did in middle school because you're going to need that again for the first unit in geometry. So this one is going over transformations again. We're talking about reflections today. So that's the focus for today is reflections. Reflections just means a flip over a line of symmetry or axis of symmetry or just a line in general. You have rules for reflections. When you take it in geometry, they're going to give you the rules. But I just wrote them here because sometimes it'll just ask you what are the coordinates. So if I want to reflect something across the x-axis, all I do is I look at the point and I just change the sign of the y coordinate for each point that's in that particular picture. Okay. If you want to reflect something across the y-axis, you just change the sign of the x coordinate in each point. If it tells you, for example, you want to reflect across the line y equals x, you just flip the x and y coordinates for each point. So if it was 2, 3, it would flip and become 3, 2. And then if I want to reflect across the line y equals negative x, I flip the numbers first, then I change the sign on them. So you flip the numbers first, then change the sign. So let's say the original point was like 2, negative 7. Okay, so it says flip the numbers. So I'm going to flip the numbers. So I flip negative 7, positive 2. Then I'm going to change the sign. So this 7 becomes positive and the 2 becomes negative. So that would be the new point from reflecting over the line y equals negative x. Okay. So just a couple practice ones down here. I'm going to more so focus on, of course, reflecting across the lines, but more so what would be the points. That's basically what your what the assignment online is asking you to do. So on number 1, I'm going to label out some of the points. I'm not going to label out all of them, but the first thing I want you to remember, the line y equals negative x goes through the origin and it's a down, goes down. I'm not perfect, but you get what I'm trying to say. Has a negative slope. That's the line of so we're going to reflect it across like this dotted line I'm drawing right here. So the biggest thing when you're doing reflections is looking at what the points would be. Translations was just shifting. Reflections, you're just looking at the points and then just changing the sign on the points or changing the numbers. So for example, I'm going to start with this point here. This is the point -4, -1. All right, this point right here is the point -3, -3. This one here is -2, -1. And the ones here in the corners, I'm going to get those in a second. I'm just mainly focusing on these borders right here. So that's why I said I don't think those aren't important. That point is the point -1, -1. And this one here is the point -1, 0, 0. And then this one right here is the point -4, 0. All right, so those were the points of the original figure. All right, and it said reflected across the line y equals -x. So all you do is you just go back to the rule. The rule said to just flip the numbers and change the signs on both numbers. So we flip them and we change the signs. So for these, I'm just going to write the new ones in red. So the new point would be for this one, I would flip them. So 0, -4 flips to 0. It flips to 0, -4. And then change the sign. Well, 0 is near a positive, negative, so I leave 0 alone, but the 4 becomes a positive 4. That becomes positive 4. Same thing here, -1, -4, -1, flip them. So this becomes -1, -4. But then I change the sign of them so they both become positive. This one was -3, -3. So when I flip them, it is still -3, -3. Change the signs on both numbers so they both become positive. This one was -2, -1. So it flips to -1, -2. Change the sign to both of them being positive because they were both negative. This one, -1, -1, flips to -1, -1. And they both turn positive. And lastly, this one is 0, -1. When you flip it, the numbers, the coordinates. And if I change their sign, 0 is neither positive or negative, so I leave it alone. And the -1 becomes a positive 1. So those would be the new coordinates. And like I said, the biggest focus is going to be what are the points going to change into when you're doing these type of problems, okay? Any questions on any part of that from anyone? Okay, because that's basically all it's going to ask you to do on the assignment is just give what would the new points be, okay? If I wanted to do this one over here, I'm going to use blue, I think. Yeah, I'll use blue over here. Yeah, I'll use blue. All right, so if I wanted to do this one, I'm getting my original points first. It's only 3 this time, so it will not take that long. So this is -4, 3. This one is 0, 1. And this one is -2, 4. All right, so the rule for reflecting across the line y equals x is you just flip the numbers around. So the coordinates just change places. So I'm going to take them and do it exactly what it said. So these flip. So the new point is on number 3, -4. This one is going to be 1, 0. I don't know why that 3 keeps disappearing over here. This one up here to -2, 4 becomes 4, -2. All right. And that is all you would have to do for those points. Okay. Gonna do 2 more and that is it. All right, so this one says reflect across the y-axis. So when you reflect across the y-axis, all you do is change the sign of x. So every x value changes sign from positive to negative or negative to positive, okay? So when you reflect across the y-axis, the x values are the only thing that changes sign. So here, my points are going to be 0, 1, 1, 4, and 5, 1. So we reflect it across the line y equals x. When we reflect it, reflected across the y-axis, remember the x value changes sign. So x on this one stays at 0. So it's going to stay 0, 1 because it's actually on the y-axis. I can't reflect across the y-axis if I'm on the y-axis. This one is going to be -5, 1 because we changed the sign. Okay. And then this one is going to be -1, 4. And you can plot that if you want to see it. So 0, 1, -5, 1, and then -1 up 4. And then it will have reflected across the y-axis. And I just outlined it here in red. Okay, the last one, reflect across the x-axis. All right, so this one, once again, is a picture, is a little more involved, so I'm not going to do every single last point on it. So I'm just going to pick a few so you can see what I'm talking about. So when you reflect across the x-axis, you change. When you reflect across the x-axis, you're going to change the sign of y, the y coordinate, change the sign, okay? So don't let, oh, I forgot to say this earlier. Because of this negative sign, people think it changes negative. No, that negation sign just means change. So it changes the sign of whatever number is there. I forgot to say that earlier. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick a few of these points. I'm gonna do this one right here. That's the point 4, -5. This one is the point 5, -3. This one is the point 5, -2. I'll go over here to these two in this corner on this side, left side. That's going to be 2, -5. 2, -4. And then this one right here is going to be 3, -2. Okay. And so just changing those signs on the y value. So if you change the sign on the y value, this one is going to become 5, 2, 5, +2. This one becomes 5, +3. This one becomes 4, +5. This one becomes 2, +5. This one becomes 2, +4. And this becomes 3, +2. And then you can just plot those points on the coordinate plane for that new picture. And on your practice, you don't have to plot any points. It's just, so I'm just giving you a point of reference. But then that would be what you would have on your graph for your picture. And that would be it. Okay. So yeah, you just changing signs or flipping numbers. That's all you have to do on these, okay? So that's all you have for this for reflections, all right? So